Wonderachievers is a comedy podcast. We're just three friends hanging out in an apartment talking about whatever's on our minds. That being said, there may be some strong language, sexual references, and irreverent humor. This is all for the sake of comedy, entertainment, and the free expression of ideas. Thanks for listening. Now on to the episode.
So the thing is, like, there's something that needs to be said. We can call this romantic therapy.
Romantic therapy?
Yeah. Well, okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be therapy, unless it might be therapeutic.
It's Dr. Love time.
If
If you're talking about what I think
We're calling Dr. Love.
All right, we can do this. I'm just saying, let's not get into specifics here.
All right,
because
no
I gotta
specifics.
fucking live in this town, and I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm not gonna give out any names and blow up any spots.
No. We
No
don't
specific.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we can keep identities confidential.
Indeed, and you
I mean,
know,
besides mine.
yeah, except for yours.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're on the podcast, so we can't really claim anonymity.
Yeah.
Wow,
No, I might
we're
give
the
you some
ones
editing work,
broadcasting
man. I want this whole segment. I want you to put a voice modulator over here, so I sound like one of those anonymous people in a crime documentary.
Yeah, that's all like in shadows, and their voices all.
Yeah, make me sound like I'm in the movie Scream.
Okay.
Yeah, and whoever's listening to it be like, Evan, why do you have a voice modulator on?
Yeah, they're like.
It's to protect the identities of all involved.
Yeah, you know, it's a crazy topic because it's one of those deals where I know not just you, but other friends when we go to the bars. Sometimes for some reason, they always pick me to be the wingman.
Yeah.
All I do is talk. You know, that's the thing about women. You think, as a man, you have to do some extra magic to get a woman's attention. But the truth is, you just talk to them. And you may get denied. You may get a snotty answer, a stuck-up answer. Or you might get a conversation, and a pretty cool one at that.
I will say that I feel like ladies probably do appreciate more straightforward stuff. Like, guys always think of these different ways to like grab a girl's attention, or like, you know, make her notice him. But being confident enough to just strike up a normal conversation and be yourself. I mean, even though that's one of those things, it's always corny. It's like a cliche in movies and TV shows, but I think it's pretty true. Like if you just talk like a normal person instead of trying to be this, like, instead of being like what your idea of like an attractive dude would act like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I got a situation is right here. You know, I got a six-pack or something. But, you know, it's just one of those deals where, like, it's just funny to me because the only reason why it's funny is Evan, in your not in your actual situation, but in certain situations that have happened, it's like, you know, Evan be like, "Oh man, you gotta talk to this girl for me. You gotta talk to this girl for me." I'm like, "No, you go talk to her." Like, "Nah, man, I'm too afraid. I can't do it. I got this anxiety thing against women, and it's not. You know, you start the conversation." And
it's not an anxiety thing against women. It's just a general social anxiety. Like, if you go out to the bar with me, you will. If you actually watch, you'll notice like any person I strike up a conversation with, it's them striking up a conversation with me.
Yeah, that's true. And you know,
I think that's something that like, it's like social anxiety is no joke, but I think you just gotta, like, it's like everything, it takes practice to kind of overcome it. You just gotta kind of put yourself out there, and it's like, yeah, you might have some awkward encounters, you might have some people that think you're like a weirdo or something, but one good thing about, you know, doing these types of conversations at the bar is that these people most likely will not remember these conversations.
Yeah.
You know, next week, you can always get a retry.
Exactly, and it's in your mind, if you can think of it as a social experiment. Like, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna talk to this woman because maybe I'm not attracted to her, or maybe I'm not actually interested, but I do find her cute. And you're like, I'm just gonna strike up a conversation. We'll see where this goes. And you know, it may go somewhere, Evan.
Yeah, and one problem I think whenever I see people doing the whole wingman thing.
Yeah.
Is like one thing that you gotta be wary of when you're picking your wingman is that if you pick a guy who's like charismatic and outgoing and like, you know, friendly, it's like, yeah, he's a good dude to like make a woman strike up a conversation, but you don't want the lady falling for your wingman over you. So it's always better, I think, to do the conversation yourself.
True. And
I don't know about that, man. Like,
what do you mean?
at least in my case, like if I had somebody wingmanning for me and they ended up going home with the chick, I feel like I'd just find that a funny situation instead of actually getting mad.
Well, I think this is because of your self-deprecation, though.
I mean, it's objectively funny.
I mean, yeah, you have a good, you know, you're a good practitioner of the whole outside looking in on your whole on your own life. Like, you're pretty objective about your own personal, like, situations and.
yeah, even growing up, we made fun of you. You still hung around. It was awesome.
Yeah. Why do you think I got such self-deprecating humor?
I was gonna say maybe we messed Devin up a little bit.
It was
No,
our fault.
it's really not all that bad, man. I feel like I've gotten better at roasting people than
See, that's the
because
thing.
of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's the thing is like you can't like self-deprecating humor is like it's funny, but it's like there is a point where it becomes sad. But that point can be avoided if you also know how to make fun of other people properly in ways that don't make you come off as a jerk, but are just funny.
Yeah, just funny. And you know, sometimes it can be one of those deals where maybe you are self-deprecating, and that's fine, because if you think about it, that's true. That's a true way to cope. You know, it's one of those deals where people see like, oh, you shouldn't diss on yourself. That's bad. Like, no, that creates a great sense of humor. And if you're in a situation where you know you have to rely for number one and nobody else will, that's a great defense mechanism, honestly, because it keeps you mentally strong. As long as you know where that line is, like, that's going to be great. Granted, your self-confidence when it comes to the ladies. So let's have it this way. So you have regular social, I almost said a social disorder. So you have social anxiety. So when you're inebriated, does that decrease?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the whole fucking point of alcohol in bars. You go there because you get drunk and you can fucking talk to people easier. It's a social lubricant, man.
But are you peer pressured easily too? More easily?
Not really, no.
Most people are, but you are a different case. I remember me and my roommate, Podacious, gonna hide a secret actual name, but if you know who that is, great for you. But Podacious, remember one night, everyone's like, oh man, that girl right there, oh god, that girl, I wish I could talk to that girl. And I was like, Evan, just go talk to her. Podacious like, hey, go talk to her. Go. So what are you doing?
If this is the night I'm thinking of, no, I didn't sound that fucking desperate. All I said was that chick is attractive. That's all I said. You guys make it sound like I was in this desperation state.
It's what you said with your eyes, though, not your mouth.
It's what you said with your erection, all right?
It was a longing erection.
Wait, is this the one that came up to you guys and said that I should have took my shot or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't even trying to. Like, I literally just went and sat down at a spot at the bar to start talking to the person opposite of her.
But that was the weirdest wrong move. And
I wasn't even trying to make a move. I was just going to get a damn beer.
But that's part of... Alright, so it's going to sound weird. Peer pressuring somebody is never good. Let's put that out there. Unless you're really good friends with them and you're trying to create a bond by benefiting them, by putting them in an embarrassing situation where they can either swim or drown. And Evan, you somehow made it to shore with no benefits at all.
Well, I mean... Part of that might just because I wasn't trying in any what sort of way to even fucking talk to her.
Well, yeah, but even then, it's like it's part of that social experience, like or experiment or experience where maybe the goal isn't to get somebody that night, but maybe you build your self-confidence up by talking to somebody, and eventually, when you're talking nice enough to somebody, it comes off as flirty sometimes. Maybe you end up flirting a little bit. You never realize it. Sometimes you do.
Yeah, but I didn't even say a word to her.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I'm saying
I
you
didn't
missed
pay
out.
any fucking attention to her besides that one time. I looked and said, "Oh, she's kind of cute."
Well, yeah, well, that's when we were like, all right, that's your target for the night, you know?
Yeah, I feel like Grant's point is that you didn't drown because it's like you didn't strike up a conversation with her and fail. You swam back to shore, but you never. But here's the thing. Here's the reason. Here's the reason though. Is because if she later said, "I wish he would have shot his shot."
Well, it wasn't even that. It was just like it was more in like the tone of like if your buddy's gonna come up, just fucking have him talk to me so I can shoot him down. That was more of the tone of it. But I didn't even.
So she's kind of Miss Hot Pants over here, thinking like
she was friends with Podacious, and she walked to us when Evan was in the bathroom, and he was like, "I see this guy eyeing me for a while. I think he's really into me. I think he's gonna shoot his shot." And we're telling her like, "Hey, he's gonna shoot his shot. Please don't like hurt him too bad. Bring him down slowly." But we want him to build his confidence up. And we want him. And this is a perfect situation where it's okay. We know he's gonna get rejected,
but it's an exercise.
It's an exercise because if there's no pain, there's no gain. That's the truth about it.
No, really, is it just because I was like, okay, this was like a week after I had wisdom tooth surgery, and I was fucking, I had a prescription, man. I was doing that.
And you're still drinking?
He was off a tear.
No, I didn't drink at all on the prescription. It's just like it was a couple days after I finished my prescription and stuff, and my mouth was all healed. That was like the night we went out. Was that night? Oh. So I think like low tolerance and maybe those whatever them pills, the prescription I had was just still in my system. Oh. I only drank like 2 beers, and somehow I felt like I drank 6.
You know what I'm hearing? Excuses.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. Like I think the whole fucking misunderstanding came from the fact that I was a little too inebriated and they mistook whatever the fuck I said.
What your misunderstanding is, it doesn't matter if you were inebriated or not. It doesn't matter if you wanted her or not. It was just a couple of guys trying to help you do something that eventually one day you would want to do without having a wingman, which is, I want to talk to this girl, but we want you to get to the point where you don't need a wingman. And you're just like, all right, I'm going to order 2 shots, one for me and one from this girl.
I really don't need a wingman, man. Like I don't. My whole attitude with women, or just even, I don't fucking care. No, I just fucking no, really.
You don't care.
No, I don't.
Remember when we were in
There's some shit that if it happens, it happens. At this point.
Not true. Remember we were in I think you were 7th grade and we were 6th grade before you were 7th grade again.
Okay, so this is what? Almost 15 years ago?
Are we that old?
We are that
old. Well, if that's the case, 15 years ago, God, I hate saying that. When we were in 7th grade, there's this girl everybody was into, and everybody was crazy for her. She was in our grade, I believe, 6th grade at the time. You were 7th grade, and everybody was trying to get with her. And man, Evan, I remember
that sounds weird to say about 7th graders.
It's weird, I know, but you're an old.
Well, I mean, let's just fucking. I feel like we should quantify what "get with her" means. Like, take her on a date, kiss her.
Yeah,
this is 7th fucking grade. You wanted to be her boyfriend.
Yeah, you wanted to be the guy who gets her flowers on Valentine's Day and holds her hand in the hall.
Exactly, you wanted that.
I'm just saying, let's not dirty the innocence of childhood with,
of course,
such adult phrases like "getting with."
You're right. Forgive me of my, I don't know, bad grammar.
Bad grammar. But anyways, okay, so there was this girl that everybody wanted to be the boyfriend of.
Exactly, and what the kids would say nowadays. Let me tell you something, Evan. This is probably derogatory as crud, and I'll change my word phrase after this. But dude, you're like simping hardcore for this one. And the thing is,
that was like my first crush, man. That was my first real girlfriend.
And it mattered,
first
right?
kiss, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Congratulations. Anyways, that was a girl, and that mattered, right? So why not having a crush nowadays, or even a girl that you find interesting physically at first, obviously, until you make a conversation, that would matter to you. You know what I mean? So, you can't say, oh, girls, social interactions doesn't matter.
No, I'm not saying that. It's not like I'm becoming a fucking MGTOW, man. No, if I find a chick, I find a chick. But at the same time, I'm not going to worry too hard about finding a chick.
Well, no one said you had to worry about it.
No, that's what I mean by I don't care whenever I go out to the bar.
Well, I mean,
I don't care if like that interaction happens.
there is a balance though, because there's like, yes, it's wrong to be obsessed with dating to the point where it's like it becomes like a detriment on your life if you're not with someone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like perfectly fine to enjoy the company of, you know, a romantic partner.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's
I spent fucking 6-7 years in a relationship, and
That's true.
it was a shit relationship.
Yeah.
But I mean, it actually kind of it at least got me used to the idea of like what a fucking long-term relationship is like. So I mean,
well, a toxic one.
well, there were good parts, then there were
there's
bad
always
parts.
good
Yeah,
parts.
there's good parts and there's bad parts. I'm just saying it got me used to the idea of what like a relationship is.
You're more.
Even if
you
it
have,
was shit. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed the good parts of it. So
Right.
that's what I'm more interested in is a relationship. But that's why I don't really care if anything happens because I don't want to just. I'm not interested in like one night stands and shit.
Now, this may sound terrible of me, but excuse me. So before I met my girlfriend at the moment, which was say last October, that's when she became my girlfriend. But officially before then we were talking a little, obviously, but officially last October, you know, she became my girlfriend. But before then, it was 5 years before I was in an official relationship. Now, my mindset, and it's different for everybody. You know, I care about other women, their feelings, and everything in that category. But you know, when you flirt with the girl, or when you get a girl's number, or when you know, find out that that girl is interested in you, that's a confidence booster. And that's what you need in life sometimes. You just need to find ways to boost your confidence when you're not doing certain things. Like if you're going out and about and you just want to have fun, enjoy yourself, sing karaoke, be inebriated, do the cool stuff. Well, guess what? There's certain things in the back of your mind as a man, as your caveman instincts come out, you want to try to get that interest from another woman. And let me tell you something. For me, that's a good confidence booster. And that was fun. You know, I didn't date anybody for those 5 years before the current girlfriend I have, but I enjoyed flirting every once in a while, and I enjoyed having that knowledge that somebody else liked me or was interested in me. They thought that was, you know, handsome enough or had a great personality, so it would give me a shot if I ever decided to take that offer. You know, that was cool stuff. That was fun. I mean, that's me, obviously, but at the same time, it's like, why not you enjoy it as well? I mean, that's a friend using his own perspective to try to help boost another friend's confidence. But you may have other things that boost your confidence, you know, when it comes to, I don't know, social environments or social interactions. You know what I mean? So for me to, like, try to get you to get with a girl or even to talk to another girl by yourself without having a wingman, it's just more about, hey, you know what? She might not be the love of your life. She might not be a one-night stand. But if you get to the point to where she can actually like you or dig you for that one night, and you guys have a cool conversation, she may even become a friend. Hey, man, that's success. That's confidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody likes to feel that they're attractive.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, it's not all just like superficial, like the way somebody looks and stuff like that. Striking up conversations and like being funny, being interesting, having like, you know, ideas that like you guys can like stimulate each other, even if it is not romantic or sexual, even if it does just become a friendship. That's important stuff. We're social creatures, humans, and it's like you shouldn't place all of your self-worth in how others view you, but I think it is something that you should care about how others see you, but you shouldn't let it like consume you, but you should care to a degree, because that's something that, I don't know, just makes you a better person when you're like, I don't want people to see me as like lame or something, you know, like,
because you like, I'm a huge nerd, by the way, for whoever's listening. If you know, you know. If you don't, now you know. I go to competitions for card games, fighting games, more card games nowadays. I'm a little lazier when it comes to my hand reflexes, but some of these nerds, man, they need to like take a shower. They need to take care of themselves, the hygiene. It's just one of those things. Sometimes they don't care enough about girls, or if they're attracted to guys, other guys enough that they're just not going to take care of themselves because it's whatever, you know, my realm's in the nerdy realm. It's like, yeah, that's fine, but you need to have some like higher sense of self-worth in that part. Now, I'm not saying this, to say, Evan, you need more self-worth. But I'm saying that there's people out there who need to have higher standards for themselves,
I think I'm just going to go incel and browse 4chan.
I mean,
this whole conversation is just...
Are we blackpilling you?
Do you want to
That's
start
not that. It's just like...
Remember the theme.
I feel like we should have named this podcast Two Simps, One Chad just because of the irony of that. I mean, one person with a wife and one person with a long-term girlfriend. And I was going to be the Chad in this conversation.
It's like people are tuning in after hearing the first podcast. And they hear this and they're like, this one's kind of sad and serious. I don't like this. This Evan guy needs some help. This Greg guy's a jerk.
I'm going to make a shrine to Elliot Ness after this, man. Holy shit.
Damn.
Evan, let's make this topic a little more interesting.
Yeah.
Again, I'm trying to
You
stick
want me
with
to get naked?
Even better, because I'm not Howard
Let's
Stern.
save that for episode 5.
Episode 5.
Yeah.
When I feel my Howard Stern come out of me.
Exactly.
And I'll describe all of you. But
we should reverse Howard Stern. We should bring in a dude and just sexually objectify him on the air.
Because that's the only way to get even, right?
Exactly. We gotta even the score. No?
No, we're gonna bring in a dominatrix and just spend the whole episode her degrading us.
Ah, that's even better.
Yeah.
Or we could tell her to dominate Evan the entire time, and we describe what we're seeing until we get uncomfortable, and we just roll with the punches.
I'm gonna be on all fours in a gimp suit, unzipping my mouth every time I need to do a response.
Yeah.
The only reason why it's uncomfortable is because we're watching you enjoy it. All right, Evan. When it comes to what kind of woman do you like? I already have an idea, but let the fans know. What kind of woman do you like?
I don't fucking know, man.
Listeners, fans, whatever you are.
Everybody has a type.
What is your type? Be serious.
I
No,
really
wait. Be
don't
honest.
know if I have a type, man.
That's a lie. You have it. Doesn't have to be physical features. It could be personality features.
Oh yeah.
I think I'll just go with the internet meme, man. Big titted goth chick.
Big titty goth girlfriend.
That is exactly what Evan likes, actually.
You're like, that's what my guess would have been.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I kind of dig redheads.
So, yeah, honestly, when it comes to white girls, because I'm the same. I don't care about, different colors. Now, I'm going to be a little...
You like the gingers?
Dude, when it comes to white girls, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I got a little Irish in me. But, but gingers, redheads, to me, are very attractive.
You're like, I got a little Irish in me.
Yeah.
Would you like to have a little Irish in you?
Yeah.
I think that's what I need to do, man. I need to take a trip back to the homeland. The Emerald Isles, man. Just go get me a Irish lass.
All you do is drink, enjoy nature, and fight one another just for the heck of it.
Yeah, you should just go into a pub, get really drunk, and then try to defend her honor. Sweep her off her Celtic feet, man.
I'm already going to tell you, man. A bunch of drunk patties are going to fucking beat my ass.
But that's the whole experience. You're supposed to get tough for that way.
Maybe she's one of those sensitive, bookish types, and she's like, I just love that you stood up for me, even if you got your ass kicked. She'll be putting a bag of peas, frozen peas on your eye and stuff, nursing you.
I mean, personality-wise, I should probably just have a similar chick to what I am.
That's a bad idea.
I mean, what I'm saying, man, fucking, I don't know, weird hipstery type that has a crazy sense of humor and probably was an emo back in the day.
Probably in libertarian.
See, okay, there is a thing to be said for people who you can tell used to have an emo or goth phase.
Oh, because
a lot of them grew up to be pretty cool. Because they're what?
Oh, nothing. I was saying they have colored nails. But yeah.
No, they're just... Most of them are hipsters now.
Well, yeah, that's what I kind of dig them hipstery chicks that you could tell had an emo phase. Because, I mean, that's basically what I am, a dude version.
Did you have an emo phase, though? You were always seemed more of a...
Yeah, you hated
a skid.
Well, I was more...
Metalhead.
I was more metal, whenever I got into high school, but I feel like fucking 6th through 8th grade... right before, right whenever I started growing my hair out. Yeah, I think I had a emo phase around then.
Did you ever have a My Chemical Romance t-shirt?
No, back in, what was it? Was it high school? It might have been fucking high school. No, it was like 7th, 8th grade year. I had that fucking My Chemical Romance messenger bag.
That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, you did have an emo phase.
Yeah.
Anybody who owned a piece of My Chemical Romance merchandise,
Yeah.
you get to claim you had an emo phase.
I support that. Maybe I don't listen to the music, but I support the cause. I guess in a sense, when people say emo, they think of obviously like, oh, suicidal thoughts, slip my wrist, I'm so depressed and happy, I gotta cry a lot, emo. But you think about it like, could I be emo? I'm like emotional in a sense, like I'm 100% mad, I'm 100% happy, I'm 100%. Maybe I might have mania. I think I might have a disorder.
You're just like, there's no in between.
Yeah, maybe I'm 100%. I get 100% sad. Maybe it's bipolar I have. This whole time I was like, I'm just emotional all the time. I don't know why. Puberty. No, Grant, you got bipolar. It's a disorder. It's genetic.
I was thinking I had the same fucking thing, but I kind of realized it's just I spend 90% of my time alone.
That is,
So I feel like I have like a good day, and I feel real high, and then it's just kind of a shitty day, and I'm just like, fuck this shit. But I realize if I had more people to fucking hang around with, instead of just sitting here and watching Netflix.
That would definitely polarize you. That's the thing too, is like, people think they may have this disorder because you feel like you're in like you have mania or like, but the thing is, really, to truly have mania or depression or even have bipolar, if you have both, you have to have like severe mania for like a week long or even a 3-day span where it's just high energy the whole time, super happy, just obnoxiously happy, and really low, you're so depressed, like honestly, like it hurts your body, you're so depressed. And you go back and forth every so often, whether it's 3 days, a week, and then you can go normal for a while, and then you get that phase again. And that's the thing about it, is like, you're not always depressed, you're not always in mania. You just have your episodes. You always have your little phases that happen. But I think as a normal human being, I think we all experience that. I think we all experience our highs and lows, and sometimes it can be really low, really high, just depending on the situation, though.
I mean, I feel like I went a little bipolar during the whole quarantine shit.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of did.
I feel like
honestly.
I had like
That's
week-long fucking manic episodes where I was just like, I mean, that's whenever I really started posting on Facebook just all the stupid shit that I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I was texting fucking Colby at like 2 o'clock in the morning, just every dumb idea I came up with. There were some pretty good ones too, I will admit. I actually had one that I didn't fucking tell you all about. It was like, it's a fucking, it's like a prank, but the only way for me to actually see the payoff is I might get questioned by police just because it's so fucking weird. I wanted to, in them conspiracy movies where they'd have that whole wall where it's filled up with pictures and they'd have like string like showing
connecting
all the
connectings. All the ends and stuff.
I thought it'd be funny to like fucking rent a hotel in town and just like think up this insane weird conspiracy about like the Tahlequah government and like all the surrounding counties and just come up with some elaborate conspiracy theory that just like whatever I could think of. And I wanted to make like one of them connection deals in the hotel room, check out the next day and just leave it up. So the fucking maid would walk in, look at that, and just be like, what the fuck did this guy figure out?
Yeah, she'd be like,
the problem with that
I have to
is
finish this work.
It's going to be so fucking weird that the cops are definitely going to get called.
Yeah.
And that would immediately have them at my house. And I mean, it'd be kind of hilarious trying to explain just how it was a joke to the cops. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like it would just be such a fucking headache. I'm really 50-50 on the idea at this point.
I was going to say the 50-50 may end up being on the wrong side for you because I don't know if you notice, a lot of cops are pretty dense. You know what I mean? Like yeah, there might be even the good cops. They're not really like the brightest when it comes to psychological or even emotional intelligence. I mean, I say that, but they got to work cases that are crazy sometimes. But a case like what you're saying, like that's kind of like they'd just be like, I don't know what to do. Arrest. That seems pretty logical.
They'd be like, this guy's a fucking psycho, man.
Like,
dude's crazy, bro.
The cops. He's a menace to society.
And what if it's true though? And it's like he makes this joke, but he actually stumbles across like this actual truth about the city of Tahlequah, and they're like, we can't let this get out. It's like, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to commit suicide in your jail cell tonight.
I worked out just like a little piece of like what I thought it could be.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I wanted to do like our town mayor and like people with the nation and stuff. Like they were all in this one big conspiracy to fucking cheat real estate, and then they were gonna start bringing in drugs, and what they were gonna do was they kill homeless people that they've been busing into our town from all these surrounding counties.
Yeah.
And then whenever they kill the one of the homeless people, they were gonna stuff their bodies with drugs because they think that's the perfect way to move narcotics across the country.
It's definitely wild. Definitely a wild conspiracy.
It almost reminds me of like Hot Fuzz, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Hot Fuss. Is it Hot Fuzz? No, Hot Fuzz.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about, man. Like, all I have is time to just sit around and think of this stupid ass shit.
I mean, that's something that like a lot of people aren't talking about whenever it comes to quarantine. Maybe they are, and I just like haven't heard about it. But I think it's something that maybe should be talked about more. Is the mental health toll, from being locked inside all day.
Dude, it's rough. It's really rough. I mean, even like on me, like for the first time ever, I've experienced anxiety, and I'm like this whole time. I'm not saying anxiety wasn't real, but it was one of those deals where it was like, oh yeah, you can always like. There's ways to beat anxiety, I try to be motivational about it. Yeah, just do this. I bet that'll help your anxiety. I finally got it and dealt with it for the first time ever during the quarantine. That stuff was scary. I thought I couldn't breathe. I thought
you had like an anxiety attack.
Yeah, I had an anxiety attack. I was like, what is happening? Like, I was like, in my head, I'm like, what's, like, what did I do? Like, what's wrong with my life? Am I thinking too much? Is this... And then you start, like, destroying your mind, and it's crazy.
It's like you overthink every single, like, decision you've made or, like, every situation that you're in. Or, like, a lot of people want to say that, like, our generation, people a little bit younger and a little bit older than us, are, like, all full of shit because we're, like, lazy and don't, like, work hard enough to get anything out of life. But it's, like, I think a lot of us deal with a lot of distressing emotions about hopelessness.
Yeah.
Because of like economic struggle and stuff like that in this country.
And that's actually the biggest thing is it's the economic struggle because there's no economic opportunity that we were told there was.
Yeah, we don't see like a path to genuine real success that's like really truly like attainable.
Yeah.
Like I feel like some past generations, it was like, I'm not saying that they never dealt with like anxiety or depression or anything like that, but it's like I feel like more past generations had opportunity and they like visible paths to success. So like if I just work hard and do this thing, then I can reach success. That's the hard thing, is putting in the work was the hard thing. But for us, it's like even if we want to put in the work, it's like finding those opportunities is getting harder and harder, and those opportunities seem scarcer and scarcer.
And with that said too, it's like back then, people weren't as aware, I would say, as nowadays, where it's like we have anxiety sometimes because we understand that there's a lot of things going against us. There's a lot of things that are failing us that people told us were supposed to support us. Go to 4 years of college, do this, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Social security.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a load of crap. Yeah. Which is, but it's one of those deals back then, it's like, if
only the government didn't tax you.
Yeah. And, it's weird because it's like, back then it almost feels like if you didn't go to college or you didn't have the opportunity to go to college, because there wasn't like free programs that, oh, hey, if you were like poor and smart, you can go to college because the special grant, special scholarship, those opportunities did not exist. And especially if you were a minority, you almost didn't have that shot, and it was kind of like you almost had to give into a certain stereotype because it was like, am I lazy because I can't do this? Because in that sense they actually couldn't have opportunities, but the opportunities they did have, they did their best to work for, like they were given a good shot. For us it's kind of like, we're given certain opportunities, but we almost fill the same shoes because it's like, okay, now we went through those opportunities, where's the payoff? Where's the payoff? Yeah, there is no payoff.
And it's also like we're more connected because of like social media and stuff. Like the world, I feel like we're more aware than past generations about like everything that's going on in the world, and that includes like injustices and stuff like that. So it's like when you're more aware of like all of these things that are wrong with the world, it can really be disheartening.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe there's just not any sort of real economically feasible way to take care of 6 billion people.
See, that's another thing.
On one planet.
Yeah, that's another thing. Is like maybe it's just
maybe there's just no fucking answer to it, man. Like the only way you can really, maybe the only way that government systems can work is if there's less fucking people.
Well, I would
Along
like
with
to
hundreds of dueling ideologies, fucking differences of opinion. Like,
I think it makes it a lot harder, and we're battling with it, but I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah, because the thing is, there's a lot of ideas out there, but there's very few that are being used, though. So it's not like they're picking different ideas and like, oh, let's try this one out. Let's see if this one works. Oh, let's try this. No, it's that cold, hard belief that, oh, this is what we were founded on. This is what we're going to be no matter what.
Yeah, it's like there are all these like dueling ideologies, but we really have never seen any sort of political progress in any like in like a really huge way. Like we've had the big wins over the years, you know, like in America, like abolishing slavery, like the civil rights movement, like giving like sovereignty to Native American tribes, and giving us like citizenship status and the right to vote, and like women's suffrage. There have been these battles that have been won, but behind the scenes, the machine that's been running the show since the beginning in this very corrupt manner is still that's still the engine. Like we haven't replaced it.
I hear what you're saying, Colby. It's the reptilians.
The reptilians.
Oh, government, man. Queen Elizabeth. Fucking Chris Christopherson, apparently.
Christopherson's
he's a reptilian, man. Look it up. David Icke.
Damn.
Yeah.
So that was his tail the whole time behind him?
I guess so, man.
I thought it was just a robe.
No, it's all reptilians, man. They're higher beings.
They might be stronger beings, but if you've watched Mortal Kombat like I have, Reptile can be beaten.
He can. He might got a lot of speed, and he might have some range with his acid spitting, acid breath or whatever.
Some crazy strength too.
Yeah, his strength's no joke. But
I mean, honestly, the way 2020's gone, just from start to where we're at now, would anyone really be surprised if everything Alex Jones said just turned out to be true?
I mean, no. 2020 is so weird. I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I might be like, I don't know. There might be this like initial shock, but then whenever I think about it, I'm like, you know what? It makes sense. In this world, anything can happen. Nothing's really surprising anymore. I
even fucking said, like, imagine we get to the end of 2020 and the fucking big icing on the cake is we find out flat Earth is real. That feels like the most perfect way to end 2020. NASA just comes out and they're like, yep, it's all flat.
Yeah, like those pictures we've seen from satellites or whatever, or like the rovers from the moon or Mars that shows Earth, it's actually just the surface, but if you were to like see it from a different angle, it would just show like a cookie,
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I don't understand about the flat Earth theory is like, why? Would it really change any sort of outlook you had if you just found out, oh, the world's flat?
I mean, it would fundamentally, I think, change some theories about like the universe to find out that our planet is flat. Like, because that would mean that other celestial bodies are also flat. And I don't know, it's like...
Well, that goes into dimensions at that point.
What if it's just like the Bible, man? There is no other planets. It's just a fucking firmament, stars and shit.
What if it turns out that the literal translation of the Bible is true?
It's like, you're telling me creationism was right?
I always heard, like, the Bible says, like, it took God 7 days.
Yeah.
But I've also always heard, like, 1 day to God is like 1,000,000 years to humans.
Well, one breath.
Well, yeah,
It's like
so
a
he
lifetime.
he like experiences lifetimes.
Yeah.
So, like, wouldn't that make 1 day of God like billions of years?
That's one of those things where I'm like...
like, the whole creation thing, like, saying it only took 7 days, it actually took billions and billions of years, like... I mean, if you're going by the logic that God experiences time in a completely different manner, it could have been 7 days in God's eyes.
And it's funny. I used to watch Ancient Aliens just because it was just entertaining to me.
Yeah.
But I remember one of the theorists. He was like a preacher or whatever, but he still believed in aliens. He was like, when Jesus Christ said he was going off, to see the others. He was going to those other planets to see those other aliens to save their lives. Because God has so many creations, whether we're the mess-ups or they're the mess-ups, everybody's got to get saved. And I'm like, I'm okay with that logic. or that, theory. Because to me, it's kind of cool. I mean, I'm an anime guy and I watched a lot of sci-fi growing up. And it's kind of like one of those deals where it's like, sometimes you can interpret even what the Bible talks about, like angels or their little monsters they had back in the day. And I'm like, what if some of these guys were aliens, What are they, just random aliens here? That'd be cool. I mean, that scared me to death. I'm terrified of aliens. But that aside, I can learn to love. Everybody can learn to love.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's one of those things where it's like, there's so many, like, conspiracy theories about, like, angels and all these, like, different beings from different religions, like the Anunnaki from like the Sumerian and Babylonian mythologies, like that these mythical deity like beings were extraterrestrials from other worlds, and like their strange appearance and their superior knowledge is what made ancient peoples revere them as something holy, something supernatural. I do not buy in at all to the theories that like aliens came down and told Egyptians how to make pyramids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm one of those, like, I'm like, just because white people never learned how to do it does not mean it was aliens.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it too. Even though our critical thinking level is pretty high nowadays, or let's say our intelligent level is pretty high nowadays. Like, critical thinking back in, like, you gotta think the ancient world. Because you have to think about, like, ancient Greece and, like, the Egyptian times. Like, those are predated times compared to, like, what you would call the European Renaissance. Or it went from medieval to Renaissance. But once you got to the Renaissance, it meant enlightenment, right? So then that's when, humanism or humanist. That's the study of ancient Greek and all these arts and stuff. That's when they're like, oh, you know what? We were taught to learn this way because of Cathology and all that. But, these people knew how to do it.
Catholicism.
Did I say Cathology? Catholicism. Yeah. Too many brews, I guess.
Cathology.
But during that Renaissance...
Sounds like the study of Cthulhu.
Yeah, Cathology, Cthulhu. Yeah. That's his. My bad.
It's like, we learned all these things because of our Lord Cthulhu sleeping in Ralia, Yeah.
A book written 2,000 years after. But
yeah.
It's one of those deals where it's like, they went back to study how culture was back then. And back at that time, the critical thinking was much, much more intense. Because they, like Greece, ancient Greece, as we know when it comes to Spartans and all this stuff, they had actual thinkers. They had guys who just thought the entire day, like, how did this happen? Why is it this way? And they would spend hours and hours trying to learn all this. One of the guys, I forgot his name, Odysseus or something, it's probably the incorrect name of him, almost found a calculus before the Romans barged into his house, stepped on his little drawing in the sand, and killed him. Not realizing, oh crap, that was the the Roman emperor's dude, because that was the guy who almost created calculus until Albert Einstein found his own documents. Was like, oh, see, the whole time we knew what an integral was, but we didn't know what a derivative was until they saw that. And then it was like, yes, back in the day, they were so good at critically thinking. You know, the Romans created the roads. They created like an awesome road that was perfect in their ancient times. Egyptians created these pyramids.
First, wait, hold on. Just one thing. Rome is different from Greece.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, in predated times of the European Renaissance, I'm just trying to go back to like days when people like didn't really have, I guess, didn't really have a strong structure of like science and stuff, you know. And
I mean, wait, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Fucking Pythagoras was like early Greek period.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm saying like that's my point is like ancient Greece and all that. They were really good critical thinkers, and they were able to help us have like what we now know as basic math and algebra and, you know, study of astrology and everything. So what my point was to help your point, to say it wasn't aliens. They were really smart humans back in the day.
Yeah.
Very smart humans. I would say if those people were to be here and they understood the actual, like, if they became book smart with what we know, they'd be way smarter than any of us because their critical thinking was on a whole nother level.
There's also, like, I think that there's, like, a strong, I guess, like, argument to be made, or, like, something that really needs to be, like, looked at critically by more people, is that, you know, while we might think of ourselves as more advanced than the peoples that came before us, I think that there are, like, different kinds of knowledge. And it's, like, the things that we are knowledgeable of now and the things that we've mastered and, you know, engineered and pioneered are just it's a whole different world from many of like older ancient peoples. And it's like there's some knowledge that they understood that we don't understand today with all of our, you know, advancements. Like take our ancestors, for example, like the Cherokee people. There were things that they knew about our relationship to like nature that we've lost over the years. And you know, and I think that there's something even to be said about like spirituality among like, you know, indigenous tribes and different Asian peoples from all over the world. It's like there's some things that get dismissed whenever like science and like technological advancement is brought in, that get dismissed as supernatural, but there is a deeper meaning behind the surface, and it's something that like gets lost in the sauce of like historical development. But I don't know, it's like something that can be, if we could get in touch with that again, it's like we could be living like the best of both worlds.
That's true.
Maybe it's just that public schools fucking kill critical thinking.
I mean, public schools are just like there to indoctrinate you. They're not there to really educate you. They're there to make sure that you can enter the workforce and keep making money for these billionaires that run the country.
And you see, that's the key thing is like schools nowadays. You go there to learn just enough to not be too stupid, but to be knowledgeable enough to either find a career or to realize I'm just going to work on my life.
They make you smart enough to run the machines and to do the paperwork and to, you know, enter the data on your computer and whatnot, and rings people up at the grocery store or whatever. But they don't educate you to be smart enough to be like, I think the system is broken. No. And if we all just banded together, we could benefit ourselves.
Actually, Evan may agree with me with this. System isn't broken, is it, Evan? It's fixed. It's working perfectly fine.
According to the people who programmed, like, built it.
Yeah, exactly. The program's working fine. Like, we're all complaining, but all the people who, you know, started the system, who was the system, you know, who were the machine, they're like, oh, it looks fine to me. The gears are shifting pretty well. I mean, everybody's angry, but that's normal.
Yeah. We'll just keep them fighting amongst each other, and they'll never really...
And that's the whole key. You know, the whole key to destroy something is to divide it. You know.
Yeah. I mean, everybody could just fucking not pay their taxes 1 year.
That would be so great. But we can't. But some people are so institutionalized to fear the consequences that they're not going to not do that. You know.
I mean, they can't throw literally everybody in the U.S. in prison.
They can try.
There's a thing though that like it's been coming up a lot recently because of like the Black Lives Matter protests against police brutality and stuff. Talking about Martin Luther King Jr. and he talks about how like the greatest adversaries to civil rights and justice is not the person who's corrupt and who's trying to like keep everything the way it is because it benefits them. It's the people who are comfortable enough to idly sit by and let these things continue as they are because they're not being negatively impacted, and they would rather have like order, and even if there's no justice, than have disorder, and risk, and
that's true. And
for the sake of justice.
That's true, and it's like what you're saying, Evan. It's like if everybody realized that if we just decided one day to stop, just be like, hold up, why am I paying my bills? Why am I listening to the government? Why am I not living an autonomous life where I'm enlightened and I can do whatever I want? And if everybody thought that same thing at once, the government no longer exists because it has no power. You know what I mean? So how do we do that? What's the way to, what do you call it? Is it called deinstitutionalize? Is enlighten really would be the word, right? To help people realize.
So like motivate people to mobilize people.
Yeah.
To really get them to.
Because that's the whole thing. Even what you were talking about spirituality earlier, where it's like people become monks because they have to find their inner selves within the world. There's a relationship where we're missing out on stuff because we're raised and taught to be a certain way, to think a certain way, religiously or not, because how the system works or how the laws are, that we forget that, hey, there's other stuff in this life we don't know about. And we would care less to research about unless we're truly scholars. Because scholars go out to find out their own research and their own knowledge,
Maybe everybody could just vote third party 1 year.
Joe Jurgensen, is that what you said?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, you got Trump and Biden. That is the choices.
Yeah.
If you don't vote third party.
Yeah. I was gonna bring this up. I'm glad you brought up Dr. Joe Jorgensen, because after you brought her up last podcast, I've been looking into her, and I'm strongly considering voting her because I really don't want to vote for Joe Biden. And the thing that's really selling me on her is how how hard she's pushing for the demolishment of the war on drugs.
That would be awesome.
I think that a lot of people don't realize how integral the war on drugs is to the inequity in our criminal justice system. Like, they think of it as, as what Nixon and Reagan told them. It's like drug dealers, murderers, and stoners, it's criminals who would benefit from getting rid of the war on drugs. So we have to crack down on it because you don't want crime running rampant in your country. But all of that is just a political fabrication, and it's just an excuse to lock up poor people, especially poor people of color, so that they can do slave labor in the prison system, in our for-profit prisons.
Well, it's not just that, man. You pass tons of bills for billion-dollar spending on war on drugs. You're just fucking pumping money into your pockets from the taxpayers. Exactly,
and it's like, I recently rewatched that documentary 13th.
Okay.
It came out in 2016, but a lot of people have been talking about it now because of the political climate. And I rewatched it because I watched it back a few years ago whenever it came out, and it's really one of the most effective documentaries I've ever seen. It's on Netflix right now. You can watch it. You can watch it for free because Netflix is like, this is so important. We want to make sure everybody can see this. So you can go on YouTube and watch it if you don't have a Netflix subscription. But yeah, they talk about a lot of these things that are really, the source of a lot of the problems that we're seeing in the world today, especially when it comes to racial inequity and inequity in our criminal justice system. And like you were saying, Evan, about the about us, like the use of tax dollars to just like corporations and politicians are just pumping that shit into their own pockets, and they're also pumping it into like our police forces. Like there was a crime bill that Bill Clinton passed in 1994 that is like that specific bill is what has led to the militarization of police forces that we see in this country today, and over bloated police budgets and stuff like that. It's
so stupid. 6 months and you make more money than me after I spent 4 years in college trying to get a good degree? Stupid.
How many of you guys realize fucking Joe Biden was pro-segregation in 74?
Yeah,
Joe Biden.
He's a huge hypocrite.
Joe Biden is
super huge hypocrite.
Joe Biden is honestly a piece of shit. Like the only reason I tolerated him, whenever he was vice president for Obama, was because it was like he didn't really have any power. Like, what does the vice president really do? Like,
yeah, he was just there to like. He was like that white kid who happened to have a black friend and thought he was cool because he had a black friend. That was what Joe Biden was, and he wrote off that.
Well, it wasn't just that. It was also fucking Obama, like, crazy fans that were always just pushing this bromance of, like, memes and shit, like, Joe and Obama, they're such a fucking cool team.
Sharing pictures of them, like, standing by the Air Force One wearing sunglasses and shit.
Fucking eating ice cream, all sorts of shit. And it's just
that's
like,
because Joe was just like, I don't know how to be cool. Obama's like, wear these glasses.
yeah, but isn't it an irony that a fucking pro-segregationist ended up being the VP of the United States to a black president? Like,
do you think that he ran with Joe as a way to try to bridge the gap between like the parties? He's picking someone who's like at best like centrist Democrat and at worst like slightly skewing to the right, you know?
I'd say it was more of the fact that Joe Biden's just been a fucking career politician who whenever he was mentally competent, probably just wanted power.
I mean, that's true. He probably has a lot of...
I mean, he's had several scandals over the years, but he's just one of those people that there wasn't any people in America that really paid attention to his political career enough to really know who the fuck he was when he was announced VP.
Right.
I guarantee like 90% of the people that whenever they saw that, they were like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
That was me. I was that 90%.
And just to be clear, it's like I don't think that Obama's like this perfect politician either.
Man,
he had a lot of problems.
He fucking ramped up drone strikes.
Yeah, like some of the
not to mention
foreign policy.
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious?
Oh, you didn't... Yeah, that was fucking the Obama era. I mean, it was... They were running guns to Mexico. To cartels.
Yeah.
And like, there were several ATF officers that got killed by those guns, not to mention countless just Mexican citizens.
Yeah. Dude, the whole situation in Mexico post-NAFTA, and even before NAFTA, like, the United States put in these, like, reforms. There were these reforms put on, like, Mexico. It wasn't the United States. It was, like, the UN, I think. That, like, put these reforms on Mexico and, like, made it harder for them to... like, for Mexican citizens to really have, like, agency in their life, and harder for them to, like, mobilize and have, like, democracy. And then NAFTA basically, like, locked that in. And so now Mexico is really, like, fucked into this, like, state of not really ever being able to have full control of their lives, of their like, they're never having true autonomy, never having a true democracy. And we've been pumping guns to, like, fucking rebels and like crazy terrorist groups and like just to destabilize those governments so that the people never really have a chance to like do anything for themselves, because it's like, no, we need you to be doing cheap labor for us. We don't want you to like have your own dreams and start your own businesses and have your own like autonomy. Yeah. So that's another thing, like with funding the cartels. It's because the cartels are like anti the government in Mexico, and it's really to like destabilize Mexico and keep them under American control.
Well, dude, the 90s fucking America was pumping guns to the Taliban, the people that did 9/11.
Yeah. That's one of those things where it's like when people say 9/11 was an inside job, I'm like, it was in a way, like not in the way that most people think where it's like, I'm not
Conspiracy
saying...
theories.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, like, George Bush planned the 9/11 attack, but it was like...
Our government did give weapons to the Taliban. They gave resources
yes.
to the Taliban to fight for them in the damn 90s during, like, what, the Gulf War?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yep.
And
Desert Storm.
Yeah, we'd fucking pump money and weapons and shit to all these rebel groups, and then fucking 10 years later, it's like they're the new bad guys.
And it's like we almost like baited them to do something as a way of like having an excuse to invade Iraq for oil.
Yeah, because at that point, it's like, once we got the government on our side, we're like, all right, the rebels are bad guys now.
You get the government on there. I mean, like, the fucking...
Well, to submit to give us the oil, at least.
Like, whenever they were going with the whole, like, we're gonna fucking free these people from their bonds and be able to bring democracy to them, they brought democracy to them, and the first election that they had, the people voted for a even more extremist party.
Exactly. We always go over, fuck things up, and then we leave this power vacuum where just the craziest motherfucker that's out there can just, like, show up and, you know...
Have you seen those pictures of fucking Iran in the 60s? It looks like America.
Yeah.
There's Iranians just walking around in just, like, normal 60s wear. There's fucking girls wearing skirts and shit. Yeah. Yeah. And then you look at it now, and it's just, like, fucking burqas and all that stuff. Like,
yeah.
It feels like it's all fucking...
It's all because of
It's U.S. influence.
It's the U.S. backed influence of these extremist groups that are gaining power and are like putting these bigoted, ancient ass ultra like hyper religious.
It's like if the West Baptist Borough, whatever they're called, ended up taking power of America. That's what we would look like.
Exactly.
Super Amish Christian looking like people.
I don't understand how the people in charge that came up with this whole idea to fund these rebel groups, these extremist religious rebel groups, didn't think, like, if we supply them and make sure they get into power, how is this not in any way going to blow up on us 10 years down the road?
Presidency.
Their ideologies are completely antithetical to Western ideas of freedom and everything. That they had to have fucking attacked us.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to also like we've never truly wanted to spread democracy. We just wanted to spread like our own like. Corporate and political control.
Exactly. We actually are the modern day imperialist.
Yeah.
That's what we are. We weren't actually trying to do it for the good of democracy. We brainwash people to think if it's democracy, it's Christian. If it's not democracy, it's Satan itself. It's not good. Morally, it's not good for us in general. It's not good for the world. But it was just another, way to do some imperialism here and there,
Yeah. And like,
well, I guess for America, it would technically be colonialism because we've never done that before, right? Or would it still be imperialism?
Imperialism, because like we don't really have colonies. I mean, we have like army bases all over the fucking world.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have army bases where, like, it's crazy there.
I mean, then again, that's the problem with the revolutions, man. Everybody's saying we need a revolution, but you gotta be fucking careful with the revolution, or else you're gonna end up with fucking extremists in the Middle East, or you're going to end up another situation like Pol Pot in Cambodia.
Yeah, it's definitely like you have to have a strong leadership in place that's ready to like assume power, that is like has been curated and has like the exact goals of the people in mind, like truly.
You got to be careful about the ideals behind the revolution.
That's true.
And with that said too, it's like what America reminds me a whole lot of is Rome, back when it had like Julius Caesar and
it's Rome with Wi-Fi, bud.
Yeah, it's Rome with Wi-Fi, because we're gonna fall eventually, because we're over here literally repeating history, and it's just kind of like, well, when is it gonna fall?
A lot of people saying the downfall has started.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a slow descent It's not going to be like a collapse like Rome,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a fall from grace.
I think it potentially has started, but there's always time to fucking steer it in the right direction.
See, that's the thing, too.
It's just everybody's got to get out of their own fucking ass and stop voting Democrat or Republican.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, maybe request a little better of whatever leadership you're trying to elect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because, you made that example with Bernie, and he decided, well, we don't want Trump to win, so I'm going to head... Okay, so this is... I mean, you said he backed out because he wanted to make sure he took care of people during the pandemic, because, for him to have a consciousness, that's his right way to do it. I personally just thought he didn't want Trump to win again, so he needed to drop out so that way it wasn't a divided vote with Democrats, because I definitely would have voted for him compared to Biden, obviously. But
obviously over Biden, yeah.
But I personally thought, get your own political party and just go for it, because who cares? Just go for it, because we need a representative like you. I don't care if, because my initial thought was just because he wanted Biden to win, so he dropped out because he didn't get enough votes. Because of that, it was just that's why it was disappointing to me, because it was like, Bernie was doing, it wasn't too disappointing because I understood his, process behind it, whether it be, or maybe it was both, to help as a congressman during the pandemic, which was needed, but also the fact that he didn't want Trump to win. He knew that was worse than Biden win. But at the same time, it was because I feel like, in my opinion, in his eyes, because at least with Biden, because he's with the Democratic Party, he's going to have more people like AOC trying to try to fact check them, or make sure he's on the right path or something. There's a lot more better Democrats in position saying, hey, Biden, you're the leader, but we're not going to let you do whatever you want. Unlike the Republican Party, who's like, oh, whatever Trump says, we're going to do. Yeah. And that was my thought process behind it. But even then, he should still go up, because Joe, whoever that is at this point, just in my eyes, just purely if I didn't look at any politics, just purely because she's a woman, I would vote for her. Because it's like, that breaks the...
break that glass ceiling.
Yeah, break that glass ceiling, man, because we've had a black president finally, thank goodness, but we haven't had a woman president, and I'd rather have Joe than Hillary as that first woman president.
It would be, oh my God, if Hillary would have won in 2016, that could have been, that's better than Trump, but oh my God, I really don't want her to be, really didn't want her to be the first woman president. We deserve a good first woman president.
Maybe we could just not think of whatever sex you are as a fucking voting point to make president.
Yeah,
but you can't ignore it either.
I was making an example.
You can ignore it. Just be like, do I agree with this person? What this person wants to do?
Even
yeah.
If you do,
okay.
even if
Who the fuck cares what they got between their legs?
True. And even if you don't look at sexual gender, we can all agree that the most sane out of the three is Joe, because she has actual policies on her platform.
Yeah. How badass would it be that the first woman president came from a third party too? That'd be really something.
That'd be cool, because last time we had a third party was Roosevelt, right? Bull Moose Party, was that the last third party?
Yeah, he had the Bull Moose Party, the Progressive Party.
That was pretty awesome, and he gave. I personally think he's the greatest president, only because he did. Well, I say only because he did a lot, honestly. But he's not every president's perfect or great, but he at least helped with sovereignty with Native Americans, and that's a big push for us,
We almost had Ross Perot, man. That dude was an OG. He fucking bought out a block of national TV time, and he just basically sat there and showed you graphs and was like, this is why taxes are bullshit. This is what you're paying for. All our jobs are going to overseas and everything, and these government people aren't doing anything for you.
You know who I wish would have ran for president before they but now they're insanely way too old. I wish Noam Chomsky would have ran for president at some point.
Doesn't that do pro-socialism?
Yeah, he's a socialist libertarian.
Yeah, I can't get behind that.
You can't get behind him?
No, socialism is just antithetical to libertarianism.
Well, modern Western libertarianism.
Well, the whole idea of libertarianism is just less government.
Well, it's the idea that liberty is the utmost important.
Yeah, you can't have government telling you all this shit to do, but I mean, in order for socialism to even work in any sort of way, you have to have a strong government.
Well, when I
You
see
do have to have a
socialism,
strong government, but it's the government is in the hands of the people.
yeah, and at that point, it's like it's not necessarily they're going to take away everybody's rights and force them to do one thing. It's more about creating programs that are going to equalize, the economic situation of everybody, and that's where I see socialism as. Maybe that's more democratic socialism. I don't know, but yeah, communism on the other hand, that'd be cool.
No. Let's jump over this goddamn table. Don't say that in this fucking house. This communism is not cool.
It's like, Greg, you don't have another beer. So you're just Satan over there quoting Bible verses.
It leads to bad, man. Fucking Pol Pot, Stalin.
Well, that's if you try to turn whatever you had before to straight communism. Communism is a slow evolutionary ride. It's like the end of a roller coaster ride. It starts with capitalism, you eventually go to socialism, whatever form it is, and you finish at a perfect communistic society. And that's where you're supposed to get.
Secret death squads taking people out that just happen to...
That's not communism.
That is communism. That's exactly what
happened. That's a form of dictatorship.
It's the only way it goes, man. That's literally the only way communism has gone. Every single time it has been tried.
To make it
always... I mean, it's one of those things that I think it's like... It sounds perfect in theory, but it doesn't account for human corruption.
And that's why it has to take many years of reinstitutionalizing people.
It will not. That will not happen. That will not happen. You're going against human instinct.
But here's the thing, too. Whether it's humanistic or not, what Kobe's point was way earlier in the podcast was that we're missing out on the spiritual side of things. And you can exclude religion, and faith and all that, and believing in some higher being. But spirituality in a sense of getting to know yourself in a whole different area as well as the world, seeing how everything interconnects in a certain way, having that kind of pure enlightenment and faith in humanity, that kind of stuff, you have to evolve emotionally in order for that to work. I agree. Right now, that system is not good. That is a horrible system because we're horrible people right now.
It won't ever. It won't ever happen.
But evolution of humans has to be through the mind.
I disagree. It's not gonna work, man. It's just not gonna work because there's too many people. The only way a communist
That's why
society...
we have COVID-19. We're getting less people every day, Evan.
God.
No, seriously, the only way a communist society like that could work is if it's literally just a community.
Over years.
14 to maybe 30-ish people. Just a small little village. Once you have billions of people, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You have to become too authoritarian, and eventually food's going to get short, and you're just going to have to fucking keep people off to gulags to get cheap labor and literally let people starve. And then people get upset, and then that's whenever you get even more crazy as a dictator and just start fucking killing anybody that says anything against you. It just won't work. And I say capitalism has its problems, yeah. But at the very least, it allows you tools to actually make something of yourself and elevate your position instead of communism.
Communism is not good for nowadays, definitely. None of us have the mindset to actually... I probably wouldn't be able to exist in an actual correct communistic or communist society because my brain works with capitalism. I've done all this work, I deserve a reward. I believe I'm the best. I need competition. I'm a very competitive human being, but I don't really see things just socially through it. I just see things through economically. And economically, when we look at all these theologies, whether it be capitalism, socialism, or communism, we have to find a way to balance everything. And capitalism is at least nowadays, capitalism is definitely not the answer for what we're dealing with economically.
I disagree.
I
think the problem is it's more corporatism. You've got these couple of large-scale corporations that are able to pay off.
Right?
Yeah, you're able to pay off government influence and. Well, I mean, take all these regulations. Like, the amount of regulation that gets put in, it basically just favors large corporations. As a small fucking mom and pop shop, depending on what fucking kind of business you're getting into, if you're having all these regulations, it just makes it that much fucking harder to turn a profit and actually make it. But these corporations that are already around and are able to pay off politicians and have enough money to fucking just deal with these regulations that gets put in place, you're just stifling out smaller businesses from coming up and actually giving you competition.
Yeah, it's like with ALEC, that corporate lobbyist group. It's like a private club where with like government officials and corporations are like, you know, commingling together and coming up with legislation together. I've heard, you know, several different talk shows talk about it. It's talked about at length in that documentary 13th. Several corporations like GM, Ford, Walmart, CCA, they were all a part of this group, and they've been in bed with all of these politicians, mostly Republican, but also many Democrat politicians. 1 in 4 state legislators are involved with ALEC, according to the 13th documentary. And they basically draft up these bills that help out the corporations, and then they give them to legislators. Legislators basically fill in the blank with like their state's name and stuff in the bill, and then propose it in Congress to make it a law.
Can I just say one point? Yes, it is obvious and scummy that Republicans, they do obviously take money from big businesses. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's obvious. Let me just say it's scummier what the Democrats do, because they just set up charities and then fucking steal from those charities instead of blatantly getting money from big businesses.
Oh, hell yeah. Like the Clinton Foundation, like that whole fucking facade. Yeah, the Democrats the Democrats disgust me sometimes even more than Republicans, because at least Republicans are, even if they do try to hide their shittier behavior, they own up to it more than the Democrats do. The Democrats act like they're trying to like be progressive and for the people, and then turn around and do that stuff. At least Republicans will say, I support tax cuts for the wealthy. I am for, you know, business. But Democrats are talking like they're for the people, but then are doing the exact same thing. It's all talk. It's like the Southern strategy that Nixon used to win in 1968. Whenever he tried to win over all of the Southern voters, because like after the Civil Rights Movement, it's like you couldn't be blatantly racist and win over people, because that would turn so many people in the country off. So then you have to start talking about things like states' rights and like, you know, couching it in all of this like language that isn't outright saying I hate black people, but the result of these policies, you know, tax cuts for the rich, and, you know, cracking down on crime, and, you know, investing more into the prison industrial complex and into police departments, militarizing police departments. It all has the effect of hurting poor people and people of color more than rich white people.
Well, I mean, that's...
But he said he was not a crook, though.
That's what I love about all this racism talk, honestly. It's like, yeah, the fucking Republican Party, it may be the one that is most blatantly supported by Nazis and actual racists, but at the same time, like, the Democratic Party is just so much of a sneaky racist party in that they say they're trying to help the black community, the Latino community, all these minority communities, but all they're really doing is trying to ensure that they get votes.
Exactly.
And at the same time, like, all these fucking cities like Detroit and New York and Chicago and all these places where you're getting things like crazy gentrification and fucking crime, all the police brutality, all this shit. It's all been Democratic controlled for how fucking long?
Yeah, and you mentioned it in the last podcast, how it's like San Francisco, historically democratically controlled, but yet the people, unless you have a lot of money, you're not living very well in San Francisco. You're homeless, you're crapping on streets. Maybe you're trying to send a message, but they don't care because they're still going to clean it.
It's like people like shit on the left.
Yeah.
The people that do shit on the left, they're like, you're not like, I don't know, you're like socialism doesn't work, all these like policies don't work, and like, whatever we want to be critical of the left for, but like the truth is that we've never truly gotten left like government. We never have, because the Democrats, who have been the party of the left,
and so
are not really that. They just say they are to get those votes, and then they do whatever the hell they want.
I'll tell you this. I don't know. I think what it is both sides, whenever it's starting to come election season or there's a big political fight, they go, it's always what is in the news is something cultural. Mm-hmm. It's always a culture war. Mm-hmm. Both sides fucking... It's kind of marketing, honestly, if you look at it. They're pushing like this is what we want for the culture at large. Yeah. This is what we believe in. When really, what you need to look at is more of the fucking economic shit. Because all this culture, everything, it's mostly just a fucking distraction. And to keep you thinking like, oh, Starbucks is trying to get rid of Christmas.
Yeah.
You guys can get mad at that. Meanwhile, here's this fucking spending bill that nobody's gonna fucking pay attention to, that just so happens to also involve fucking reinstitution of the Patriot Act. Yeah. Spying on citizens, all this other sorts of shit that gets thrown in there, but they're talking about Starbucks or fucking race relations or...
I think a lot of it is bullshit, like the Starbucks thing is just... cleared bullshit, like, and a lot of it is that, but then whenever they talk about like race relations and stuff like that, it's like they're taking this like problem of like inequality or something like that, and they're saying that like the solution to that is for us to all stand together and hold hands, but it's like the real solution for that lies in
Pepsi.
Policy.
Or Pepsi. Policy, yes. Not Pepsi. Pepsi was never the answer. What a gross
It relies in policy that affects economics, affects the courts, the criminal justice system. It's like these policies that affect these things, like the war on drugs, and militarization and bloated police budgets, spending bills, like what we're spending our money on, like social services and education, infrastructure.
When there's a story that's dominating the news on all platforms based on all looks of life, what you need to do is you need to look a little bit more at what's going on in the news, because there's probably something they're trying to distract you from.
Yeah, anytime there's something like crazy going on, always start paying attention to what's Congress up to.
Like, did you know that like whenever all the George Floyd stuff blew up, that it just so happened that Hillary was going in for a hearing to determine whether or not they're going to investigate the whole email scandal?
Oh, really? Yeah. I did not know that.
There's tons of people that didn't.
I thought that thing was like totally over by now.
But you didn't hear about it at all?
No, it definitely wasn't trending on Twitter.
See, that a good example of all that, creating distractions or in a sense creating an illusion, is like, for example, a good example locally at least is I think the year you came to NSU, was it junior or sophomore?
It was junior year. It was 2016, 2017.
So that year, 2017, that year the state actually was still Mary Fallon instead of Stitt as their governor.
Yeah.
They had no press on it, but they were taking away so much funding from education. Mm-hmm. But I think the distraction at the time was, I can't remember. Actually, at that point, it wasn't even distraction. It was like they were maybe there was instruction. I don't know what it was, but there was no talk about it. There was nothing mentioned when it came to actual government voting or policies about
Fucking
it.
government officials here in Oklahoma have some fucking balls.
Yeah.
Because they will do that shit and just like, they won't try to come up with something to hide it. They'll just do it and then hope that nobody like calls them on it or nobody's reporting on it.
Yeah.
But they don't try to hide it. They just do it. And like, I remember getting letters while I was at OU from the president that's like, here's the reason why tuition has gone up so much this semester. Unfortunately, the state has slashed education spending.
And we got notice of it a week after it was
classes
over.
started.
Yeah, after it was over, because they were like, because I remember Dr. Scott, an amazing man, very woke man. If you go to Northeastern State University, I don't care what degree you're in, whatever class you're in, take this man's class, media law, media literature, whatever. Literacy.
Media literacy.
Take that class. You need it. If you think you're woke, take it. If you are not woke and you know you're ignorant because you don't understand anything that anyone talks about politically or whatever, take it, because it makes you smarter, makes you better, and he makes you think, and that's what you need out of a teacher. You need somebody that makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that said, a week after, it was so crazy because, like, I mean, I was lucky. We were lucky.
Yeah,
because
we were very privileged when it comes to college.
Because when that happened, we had the Gates Millennium Scholarship, and I didn't really think about it at the time. Why? I was like, oh, sweet, I got $2,000 extra in my tax or my refund in each semester, only to realize, oh, everything's way more expensive. NSU shut down quite a bit of programs. The dean of education, who I really looked up to, she had to take a different job somewhere else because of the cut in funding. Amazing woman. Thankfully, she got the dean of a whole nother college, FIU, I believe. So she got a better placement. But it's so horrible how, like, information like that, like, we're in a time where information should be instantaneous.
It should be readily available to you, and it should be like, I don't know, like I mean, and it is, but it's like you shouldn't have to go digging for these things that are vitally important to you and like are changing your life.
These politics are servants to us, and they did no justice when they did that. We need to elect people that are willing to serve us, that understand that. I'm not saying they're lower than us, but they have to understand that they must listen to us and that they are servants, because that's the whole reason for them to be politics, But obviously nobody's gonna like take that job if you're like worse than everybody else.
It sounds like you want to reinstitute slavery,
dude,
but make the slaves run us.
Man,
how the fuck does that work?
I never said slavery as in servitude. It's different.
I mean, they are public servants. That is the term.
That is who they're supposed to.
Just imagine Nancy Pelosi in chains and just a bunch of
God.
people screaming, "Write laws!"
It's like, you're not human.
Oh my God.
No, just kidding.
All that amount of plastic surgery. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, what time are we at? I feel like we're almost at 2 hours.
Hour 30.
All right, so with that said, we're
Holy
gonna
shit.
finish off. Evan, what are you gonna do to fight that social, what'd you call it, distortion, awkwardness, anxiety? What are you gonna do to combat that with any girl you find attractive at the bar?
What are you gonna sing at karaoke tonight?
What are you gonna sing tonight?
I ain't gonna sing
that's gonna
shit,
make
man.
all the ladies love you? Listen, I'm singing karaoke tonight, and guess who else is singing karaoke tonight?
Not me.
Well, that's the wrong answer.
It's the right answer from where I'm sitting. I just got fucking psyoped by a chick hardcore. I'm just gonna worry about getting down to the bar and getting drunk. I'm getting on my Danny Brown shit tonight.
Okay, well, this is Danny Brown. You got pneumonia?
No, I'm just gonna get fucking fucked up. I got the perfect song to end this fucking episode on too.
Alright, well, hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm amazing. We're all amazing.
Everyone's amazing in their own little special way.
Yeah, I think. What is it called? Everybody's awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Exactly. Lego movie.
When you're on a team.
In conclusion, everybody, it's Saturday night, almost 11 o'clock. We're about to go out to karaoke, have a good time, get drunk, go on an adventure. So, I hope no matter how the world is falling apart, you just find a little time to go out and enjoy yourself. Goodbye.
Amen, brother.